We're back at Lido Key. What's happening since the last time we were here? Mike Rennick. I am the team lead, the senior broker with Team Rennick Real Estate Services, part of that great Keller Williams on the Water family. My partner in crime this morning is Mr. Stephen Reed, owner and publisher of the Longboat Key News and the Sarasota City News. Welcome, Steve.
Welcome, and good to see you again. And I want to thank you for all that you do for the buyers and sellers in the community. That's a good service you're doing.
We appreciate that.
I know, and you do a great job.
We're working hard. But it's folks like you that allow good things to happen. You invest your time to be here on Sundays. I appreciate that. And you're going to bring us up to date with what's happening with Lido.
It is exciting news. Let me tell you something. This community loves this beach, and it loves this pavilion, and it loves this pool. And the community prevailed this week.
That's exciting.
It's a big deal. Yep. The city, well, let's give a little backstory.
Okay.
There was a proposal, what was called an intent to negotiate, and a lease had been signed to turn this pool and pavilion into a 250-seat restaurant, a bar, a tiki bar, where children and parents who wanted to use the restroom would have to walk right by the bar. They were going to start serving hard liquor. They're going to privatize and portions of this cabana rental system and rent cabanas out to individual people as they wished, the daiquiri deck owners, and they responded to a process put out by the city. Well, the residents, as time unfolded, hated this idea. All they wanted...
Let me see if I have this right. So you've got a beautiful area, and our footage today will show some of that.
Oh my God, yeah.
And if you put a commercial establishment in here, no matter how hard you work, it's not going to keep what we have today. Is that correct?
Well, it not at all. And as you know, I mean, you're in this business, you're in a different business I am. I do news gathering and reporting, and you're in the real estate market. You see how many...
I create the news that you report.
That's right. It's true. You definitely support it, as do all realtors. But the amount of residents they're adding to downtown Sarasota, you have projects going in, the view that just was completed recently. You have condominiums on Palm Avenue. You know, we have Patrick DePinto building several projects. You have, you know, the Westin Inn coming online. You have the Quay project, the new Ritz-Carlton building going up. Longboat just approved last spring for condominium units and a hotel, a St. Regis hotel condominium units.
The old Colony property.
Yeah, the Key Club on the south end is going to have a hotel on the pass, another couple hundred units. The point I'm making is the number of visitors, the number of residents has gone up exponentially. They're anticipating more than 1 million people will be living in the Sarasota-Bradenton metro area.
That's a big number.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
So this underscores how precious this public asset is, this beach, to this community. You can't make more beach. In fact, the erosion is a big threat, but you can't make more beach. This is a special place historically for the entire community. The building is actually, although the city let it get dilapidated, is a piece of architecture that is significant as well.
It blends in well to the rustic nature of the beach. I like this part of the island.
They made the mistake a little bit like the Colony. If you let something go, it's easy to turn on it and say, let's tear it down. But if this thing was kept pristine, if a new roof is put on, and this is what's probably going to happen now, a new roof is put on, the restrooms are maintained, it's painted and kept modern, it'll be lovely, and it'll be good for another generation.
So what's going to happen now? So that all fell apart. The
lease is gone.
Won. The residents
the residents won. And what happened was the lessee, the daiquiri deck pair, Gavin Mishad and Troy Seifert, not bad guys, but they were definitely had a very ambitious proposal, and they were here to make money as operators. They said to the commission, we want to withdraw this plan, but we want to be paid for out-of-pocket expenses.
We talked about that in one of our previous
and,
videos.
and they got paid. They're going to get paid $206,000. So they're getting a check from the city, ultimately taxpayer money,
Yep.
for, to use a French word, for this screw up. And on the part of the city, I really have to lay the blame of this. This is my editorial comment on the city. They led the applicant down a path saying this is compatible with the community.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is what would be good for the area. This does make sense for zoning. There is enough parking. It won't impact traffic. They led them down a garden path. The residents all along were completely opposed to it. The commission was split with Hagan Brody, Liz Alpert, and Shelley Freeland Eddy supporting the lease. Willie Shaw voted for it, but then asked to change his vote.
Okay.
They wouldn't let him, so the lease stuck. Jen Ahearn Koch was consistently opposed to it, so I give credit to her, and Willie Shaw, who spoke against it consistently. Then it came to a head last week. They agreed to pay the $206,000 in expenses, the majority of which were legal fees, and this thing will go away.
So what happens next with this property?
Well, what happens next is, of course, up to the city. What will happen, though, and I'm 99% sure, is there's about $1.25 million already voted on by residents in what's called the penny tax for beach infrastructure.
Okay.
And it's already allocated for Lido. So if the city doesn't get re-involved and bring it down another strange path, the Parks Department will fix the bathrooms, repair the roof, and do what's needed, and do what municipalities around the country do with parks. They fix them up and keep them for the public. Now, as a side note, and to help facilitate this agreement, Mark Walsh, who owns his company Ocean Properties, owns the Longboat Key Club, the Lido Beach Resort. They are rebuilding the Helmsley Sandcastle into a new resort, and they own, scores of properties across the country. Are very invested in the island. His group, and he was against this plan. He didn't want it privatized. He believes that it needs to be a quiet place, both for his guests and for all the residential neighborhood. And if the city goes down the path of keeping it in its Parks Department, does these minimal
upgrades, fixes, maintenance.
He has donated $175. He has committed $175,000 toward the repairs.
Excellent. That's excellent.
So it sort of helps offset those legal fees. And so it's sort of, I hate to sound like a libertarian, but the less government gets involved at this point, other than just fixing it up and being the steward, the better. And that's what we're all hoping for. But I'll tell you one thing, these residents won't forget what happened, and they're going to keep their eye on this process.
So we need to come back down the road and provide another update to what's actually happening.
Yeah,
Does that
we
make
need,
sense?
when that decision comes, here's what we're going to do. We're fixing the park. We're getting bids. We're putting out bids to do bathroom repairs and redeck the pool and do a roof. We'll come back here and report that. And we'll be putting it in Longboat Key News and Sarasota City News. But until then, this is a major, major victory for the community.
And that's exciting, because the island gets to continue to keep the ambience that it currently has. And that's the draw. That's why we're here now.
Yeah, yeah.
Steve, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for talking about
Another great job.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.